We have on Miss Rebecca Zung, who is the top 1% of attorneys in the nation, because she actually talks about the brain and how people, actually function, especially in business. If you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, you're going to have to know how to negotiate. We're going to be diving in. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Carrie Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee! All right, Rebecca Zung, welcome to the Happy Hustle podcast, my friend. I am super excited to rock the mic with you.
I'm so excited to meet you. I mean, we have so many mutual friends in common that it's almost like, how have we not met before?
Very true. Very true. I do want to say you are an impressive human, top 1% attorney in the entire country, a narcissism negotiation expert, recent USA Today best-selling author, which kudos to you. That is not easy. And anyone who has written a book has my respect, because it is truly a labor of love. And you have multiple books. And ultimately, Rebecca, you are a happy hustler. And I'm excited to dive into really how to negotiate more efficiently today, specifically with people who may be narcissists. And, this is a topic I haven't talked much about. And it's a topic, whether you're dealing with a narcissist or you're just dealing with someone who is prone to conflict, we need to know how to manage these situations. I think conflict resolution is a skill that absolutely needs to be taught in school systems, because it's like so imperative. Regardless, I'm really just pumped about diving down this rabbit hole. But before we get into all that good stuff, Rebecca, what is something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
You were asking me this question, and I was thinking, what would be my answer? And I was going to say, well, I really like to dance. So it was going to be
Nice.
one of the answers. But I think it might be, I'm half Chinese and half German. So I always say that I have no fun genes whatsoever, but that's not true. I definitely do.
That's hilarious. No fun genes. What kind of dance are you into?
Oh, I don't know. I just anything that's fun that's on the radio or whatever. Like at night, I always like tell I can't say it too loud because it might go on, but I tell Alexa to play like my dance party music or something. I'll cook
Nice.
dinner or like just by myself, and just my dog. I have this Doberman who'll like look at me
Nice.
like, oh God, there she goes again. She's crazy.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alexa is always listening. You keep it down, right?
Yeah, keep it down, and she'll be like, "What? I didn't get that."
Yeah, dance party. That's funny,
Dance party of one by myself in my kitchen.
right? I hear you. Well, today we're talking about slaying the bully, right? And really, slay is an acronym, and how to negotiate just better. Let's just start first and foremost with, why did you write this book? Like, what was the genesis of it?
Well, it all kind of happened by accident because I wanted to, when I really decided to merge my practice with two other guys a few years back and focus on being an entrepreneur, because I really realized I was an entrepreneur at heart. I thought I was going to make videos about negotiation in general and build courses on negotiation. And really, that was what I was going to do on negotiation in general. But then I ended up in this entrepreneurial endeavor with somebody who turned out to be a covert passive aggressive narcissist. And this person was a female, and it was a business endeavor. And it really kind of made my life a living hell for about a year. And, my poor husband had to listen to me being so like anxiety ridden for a year. And, I woke
Mm.
up in the middle of the night, I was thinking about it. In the morning, I was thinking about it, brushing my teeth. I was thinking about all this. And I finally got out of that situation. But then after that, somebody had told me that this person had been a narcissist. And I thought, what? So I ended up starting to learn about narcissism. And I did one video on YouTube in January of 2020 on how to negotiate with a narcissist. And that video went viral. And all of a sudden I thought, oh, well, maybe I should make more content on that. And maybe I'll make a lead magnet, and maybe I'll make a course around that. And so I decided to go live with that course in March of 2020.
Mm.
And of course, having no idea what was going to be happening with the world.
Yeah.
And it was only because I was still practicing law at the time. And I had decided, I was learning about narcissism. I applied what I was learning about narcissism to what I already knew about negotiation. And it was like I had discovered penicillin. I saw movement in my cases. So I thought, okay, let me start to share this. And it was really this whole accidental thing. And honestly, it was kind of kicking and screaming because I had said to my husband, I don't know if I want to be the narcissism queen. And he said, oh, just go with it. You're helping people. And it was only when I started to get all of these emails and DMs from people who started to say, you saved my life. You changed my life. You saved my children's lives. You took me out of this dark place. I was going to commit suicide and I didn't. And I mean, that was when I started to realize I'm doing God's work. Like, this is
Yeah.
not me. I think I've been chosen. I,
Wow.
I started to feel like I was on this mission. Because all of a sudden, within a year, in January of 2020, I had 300 subscribers on my YouTube channel. By January of 2021, I had 101,000 subscribers on my YouTube
Wow.
channel. And I had sold $1.1 million worth of my course.
Wow.
So all organically.
Let's go.
Yeah. So this was a God thing. It was not,
Yeah.
I was selected as the voice, truly.
Wow. That's so awesome. I mean, just to echo a couple points, like, you have to listen to the market. It is so important. I talk to creators, entrepreneurs, as you do regularly. And as much as we want to, you know, choose a product or service that fills our cup, it's oftentimes the problem that we solved in the past that needs to be, ultimately solved for more people. And you have to listen to what is, like, Rory, our good friend, talks about, that one word problem that you can really solve for people, and what is your uniqueness in solving it, right? And I just think it's so cool because you got feedback, you dove into it, and now here you are, you've built this massive company solving virtually a very niche problem, but one that many people can relate to, right? That is an impressive, an impressive thing nonetheless. Let's get into the work itself and talk about the acronym S.L.A.Y. What does S.L.A.Y stand for?
It stands for S, which it's where you develop your super strong strategy, your vision. Where are you going? And which I think is important in anything in life. You want to have, I actually just created my own mind movie for this year. It's, some people have a vision board, but when you're negotiating, you also have to have a vision. Where is it that you're going? And the next part is L, leverage. You, especially when you're dealing with a high conflict personality, you have to have leverage.
Yeah.
Many people say, "Oh, I don't want to fight. I just want to have it done. Or we're going to work this out." But let me tell you, when you're dealing with a high conflict personality or a narcissistic personality, if you want to work this out peacefully, you have to have leverage. That's just the bottom line. And then A stands for anticipate. You want to be able to anticipate what type of narcissist you're dealing with, what their next step is going to be. You want to be 2 steps ahead of them.
Mm.
And then why is you in your mindset. 100% of winning is your mindset.
Yeah.
And you want to be on the offensive.
Mm.
I always say football teams don't win on having a good defense. They win on having a good offense. So it's focusing on you and not focusing on what are they doing all the time. It's focusing on you.
Mm.
So that's what the S.L.A.Y method is. And it works. I've literally sold definitely more than 10,000 of my S.L.A.Y programs in the last 4 years
Wow.
now. And I now certify coaches. I just launched my certification program this year. And my first webinar for it, I had 1,100 people signed up for my first webinar.
Whoa.
And yeah.
Let's
So
go.
yeah, I mean, it's all been organic, all
Yeah.
been organic. So I have hundreds of people who are interested in my certification. I've already graduated over 100 coaches. I mean, and we have many people already in the program, still in the program now, that are getting ready to graduate. I love my certification program. It's very, very, very unique. There's no other program like it. And so this is what the impact is, all because there's a quote from Rumi that says, your wound is the place where the light enters you.
Mm.
And it is out of your pain. It's out of the things that happen in your life that seem like it's happening to you that become your purpose. Your
Mm.
trauma becomes your transformation. And that was certainly the case for me.
Mm.
And so I who knew at the time that was what it was going to be for me, but that's what it's become.
Yeah. Wow. That's so awesome. I mean, and you mentioned Rumi, this Muslim mystic. Actually, one of my favorite quotes that I heard recently from Rumi is, if you are irritated by every rub, how will you be polished?
Oh,
Mm. Right?
I love that. And
Yeah.
the other thing is that he said was, um, seek those who set your life on fire, seek those who fan your flames. And
Hmm.
so, look around in your life. Are the people in your life fanning your flames, or are they dousing your fire? Are
Yeah.
they like pouring water on it? Or are they supporting you? Are they putting logs on your fire? Are they saying, hey,
Yeah.
you are amazing? Are they, because if that's not what they're doing, then you're in the wrong group of people.
Amen. Amen. I mean, they say you are the sum of your five closest relationships, right? You're either rounding up or not. So I talk about that a lot actually. You know, that inner circle is the catalyst oftentimes. That's why I believe masterminds are so important, just to be surrounded by,
Oh
high
yeah,
frequency people who raise your vibration.
so
Um,
important.
but you talked about S.L.A.Y, and I just want to echo the, you know, the strategy piece.
Yeah,
Then you get to the leverage, then
yeah,
anticipation, and then focusing on you.
yeah.
When we,
And it's all really, really important. And there's so much to unpack with all of that, especially
right,
when you're dealing with a high conflict personality, that I want to get into, especially with the research around the brain that I
yeah,
want to.
yeah.
Um,
Well, let's first talk about like, how do we identify a high conflict or um, a narcissist? Is there any characteristics that maybe people can out there, all the happy hustlers listening and watching, they could be like, okay, this person is or isn't a narcissist, and any defining characteristics to look for?
yeah, 100%. So it's not what you think. A narcissist is not what you think. It's not a person who goes around telling everybody how great they are. I mean, they might say that, but they also might be passive aggressive. They might be covert. They
Hmm.
might be the nicest person on the planet to your face, but then behind closed doors, they could be this passive aggressive person who's manipulating and smearing with in terms of care. Oh, I'm so concerned about Johnny and his drinking. Whereas Johnny doesn't have a drinking problem at all, but that's how they're smearing Johnny. Mm, you know, I mean, so that's they could be like that. It
Mm,
could be, where they have like these clean hands, where they're, it's that passive aggressive way of, oh, I can't believe that they're not paying for me to do anything, where they make themselves seem like a victim,
mm,
right? They appear as the victim,
mm,
or the guilt. They're like they put guilt on people. It could be that. So, I mean, how they present themselves is very different a lot of times. It's not necessarily what you think. It's all about feeding this emptiness inside of them. They feel no sense of self worth inside.
mm,
And it's a black hole that can never be filled. They feel the most sense of shame and pain of anyone. Now, all of us have that. All of us do. And if you don't admit to it, then you probably are a narcissist, because
yeah.
narcissists can't admit to it,
Mm,
right? And so they layer on external sources of value through image, through adulation, through big cars, money, labels, girlfriends, whatever it is, to make themselves look like they have value externally.
mm,
But it can never be filled. But then the other way and I call that diamond level supply. Anything related to image is diamond level supply. The other kind of supply, narcissistic supply, that they try to get, but that can never be filled, is what I call co-level supply, which is degrading people, or manipulation, passive aggression, devaluing people. It's pushing people down in order to make themselves feel good. So
mm,
it might be smearing people, it might be gossiping, whatever it is, but it's pushing people down to make themselves feel good.
mhm,
So that's what I call co-level supply. And the reason why it's tiered is because they will always protect and defend diamond level supply over the co-level supply. How they look to the world is always going to be the most important. And that's really important to understand when you're building leverage, because there's a myth out there that narcissists just always want to win. That's not necessarily true. They also enjoy, they get off on, they need to manipulate you. To
mm,
there's a high for them on literally just the process of jerking people around.
mm,
And so in a negotiation, that's why you can never see resolution. They
mm.
will literally change their own deal.
Yeah.
They will send over a proposal. And by the time you come back and say yes to all of their demands, even though it was a major concession for you, they have already changed it.
Jeez.
And people listening to this know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Oh.
and they will blame it on you.
Yeah. So true. Oh.
And you'll be like, what are you talking about? But that is why, because they enjoy the process of watching you squirm,
Mm.
seeing you sweat.
Yeah.
They love that too. And so the key to getting them out of your life is to create leverage such that you are threatening a source of supply that's more important for them to keep or protect or defend than the supply that they get from jerking you around.
Mm.
And that's your leverage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I mean, the word victim really resonates because I know some. in my life, and I'm sure everyone out there listening and watching know a victim or two. And not all victims are narcissists, right? And I'm sure not all narcissists are victims, unless you would disagree. Would you agree with that, or would you disagree?
Well, I mean, yeah, and I think, it's obviously it's a spectrum, right? So,
Yeah,
people can have narcissistic traits and not be a full-blown narcissist, have narcissistic personality disorder,
yeah,
right? I mean, and like I said, I think we all have times that we have our own traits like that,
yeah,
right? And especially like if we're sick or we're not feeling well, we can be like probably a little bit more,
yeah,
whatever. So,
yeah,
but I do think that there are people who skew more that way than others.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting though, because dealing with a person who has these traits, um, it's very difficult. It's tricky waters. Hence, your success in your business, right? Like, because
Well,
solving the problem is so difficult. I just want to flush out the leverage part. You mentioned the diamond supply and the coal supply. Like, just give us an example if you could, because like I'd love to get tactical just for people out
sure.
there. Give us an example of how you create leverage. And I know you've done this with like very, very wealthy people when it comes to
Yeah,
their divorces, right?
sure.
And you're dealing with narcissists. So maybe an example from your past that might be relatable when it comes to creating leverage.
Sure. So I'll give you an example. And then I also want to get into like their brain function as well, because I think it'll be really
Yeah,
easy for people to understand once they understand the research, because it obviously is
please.
a
Yeah.
result of trauma.
Mm,
And I think that people will understand more when they hear that as well.
yeah.
So I had a case where the husband was a Fortune 20 executive. He worked for a company that well, actually, he was CEO of one of the divisions of a Fortune 20 company that everyone has heard of. And we were representing the wife. I was representing the wife. The husband had really all of the power in the marriage. It was a pretty, what I would call, typical marriage, in the sense that they met in college. She had a little bit of a career, very minimal, until they had children. Then she stayed home. Then they had two children. The children had then graduated from college. he she helped really build his career by being more of a, like, a socialite, and he ascended in his career. Then he basically decided, as he became more and more powerful, that he could do whatever he wanted. And part of the problem with him, though, was he had basically a double life. And so he ended up hiring prostitutes, basically, and other
Mm.
women, and had really gone crazy with that.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guaranteed. And you can get access to this new sales course that the Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode. Wow.
And I mean, way worse than what I had seen in most of my cases, frankly. I mean, it was really bad.
Wow.
And so she had no idea until she went to the doctor and found out that she had herpes. And she had never been unfaithful to him. And so we found out that he actually knew that he had had it and then inflicted her. And so suddenly now the tables turned, because he obviously didn't want anyone to know. So we actually, in Florida, you can actually add a civil cause to a divorce complaint for assault and battery, a civil assault, civil battery, which a STD is when somebody knows and inflicts it on them, and ask for a jury trial.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just a bench trial. So it wouldn't just be the judge. It would actually be your impaneling attorney, public.
Yeah.
And now this guy is CEO of a Fortune 20 company, and we're going to, the whole world's going to know. And we are going to depose all these people in his company, and we're going to ask for, because she's going to have this the rest of her life. So we're going to bring in doctors, and we also were adding a claim for intentional infliction of emotional distress. And because obviously she's going to have to live with this forever, and psychologists and all of it. So what we did in mediation was we just amended the petition, but we didn't file it.
Oh.
And we just said, listen.
Yeah. Talk about leverage.
Buddy boy.
Wow.
This is going to get filed. And we're going to ask for a jury trial, and we're going to do all of these things, or
pay us what we want and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, I did not expect that example of leverage, but holy cow, is that leverage. So that's a great.
It threatens his source of diamond level supply.
Right.
Suddenly the tables have turned quite a lot.
Yeah. And okay, so maybe the happy hustlers out there listening, like, they can resonate in the sense that, like, creating leverage in any negotiation it's a necessity, right? And you have to have strategy on how you're going to present that leverage, and then anticipate the move, from the counterpart, and really come with that winning mindset. Like this S.L.A.Y concept, I think it's beautiful in its simplicity. And I know the difficulty of creating simplistic acronyms. It's a ton of work on the creator's back end. So kudos to you, because I have an acronym and I know what goes into it. So bravo for that. When it comes to implementing this,
I own the word S.L.A.Y, by the way.
Oh, do you? Did you get it trademarked?
I did.
Yeah, get some. Look at you. I mean, I trademarked soul mapping, our proprietary framework. So it's, it's your soul's map to the blissfully balanced promised land. It's these 10 different areas of life that we measure every single week, and we focus on in order to create this homeostasis, right? This elusive balance personally and professionally. But nonetheless, I digress. The important factor I want people to really take away from this is, this S.L.A.Y concept, and really, how they can better negotiate with people who are high conflict. And I want people to go get the book. Where can people actually go to pick up a copy if they are interested to go deeper?
Well, if they go to slaythebully.com, every place is listed there. I mean,
Awesome.
because it's basically everywhere.
Yeah. And I do want to hard U-turn with our time, because I'm very impressed by what you've done as an entrepreneur. Your career as an attorney is also equally impressive. But I know all the happy
Can I
hustlers.
just
Oh, go
actually
ahead.
talk about the brain
Oh,
real
sorry.
quick? 'Cause
Yes,
I
go ahead,
think,
please.
yeah, I think it's really important for people to. So I just want to just take 60
Yeah,
seconds to talk about the brain, because I think it's so important for people to understand the trauma aspect of it.
please.
And that is that narcissists were made, not born.
Mm,
And that is that they're formed as a result of trauma. And I think it's so important for people to understand as victims. You were talking about victims, or in some ways targets, but I mean, all of us. And that is, I want people to understand this, because so many people sit around and wait for people to change. And I think it's so important for people not to do that.
mm,
And um, so all of us, when we are presented with situations where we are in stress mode, our bodies go into fight or flight. And that happens as children as well. So when people, how a narcissist is formed is that during their childhood, at some point, they were exposed to stressful situations, whether it could be neglect, it could be abuse, or it could be that they witnessed it, or it could be whatever it is, but it was happened on a continuous basis.
mm,
And when we are in stressful situations, that during that fight or flight, our bodies emit chemicals, adrenaline, cortisol. And when that adrenaline and cortisol in particular, goes into our limbic system, that limbic system, which is the emotional center of the brain, that can cause arrested development
mm,
when the child is being formed. And
mm,
so while the prefrontal cortex part of the brain can continue to develop, which is a thinking judgment part of the brain, the larger part of the brain, the frontal part of the brain, that emotional center part of the brain, the limbic system part of the brain, which is sort of like in the middle part of the brain, can experience arrested development. So when they grow up, there's actually a lag in development between those two parts. And so while they can be charming and really successful in many other areas of their lives, that when they're presented with situations that cause them to feel like they need to go back into survival mode, they can be triggered.
mm-hmm,
And it's not rational and it's not reasonable
mm,
to the rest of the world. But anything can trigger them. It makes them feel like maybe there's a loss of control, like they're being slighted, like that they're going to be exposed, or whatever it is. And it can be verbal or nonverbal.
mm-hmm,
Then that gets triggered, and then that limbic system takes back over. So
mm-hmm,
now that prefrontal thinking part of the brain is no longer in control. The limbic system is in control. And then they become blind, literally blind, to the collateral damage that they are causing
yep,
to other people and even to themselves during that period of time.
mm,
So, and because it's very closely related to memory, they don't even necessarily remember what they have said or done during that period of time. And so they will literally take themselves down to take you down.
whew. Yeah, that I feel like that is such a amazing synopsis of like how chemically that works in the brain, and I think people can understand that trauma creates these wounds inside our brain. And I have done some work in this area to heal my own trauma. I'm still definitely not perfect, and I don't claim to be. However,
Yeah.
it's just
Right.
you have to almost go back and recategorize those wounds
No, there's
with
neuronal
new,
patterns.
right? Those neural
There's
patterns.
there are neural patterns, exactly.
Yeah.
And because of the way that they're formed and the nature of how they are, where they don't want to be corrected and they don't want to, they won't go and do any kind of self-evaluation, the type of personality that they are. it's literally the worst type of personality because they're not prone to go, let me do some self-study, let me do self-evaluation,
Yeah.
let me do inward self-work. That they won't. And because of that, you can't sit around and wait for them to change.
Hmm. Facts. That hits home, I hopefully for a lot of people out there and for myself because I love this frame, which is if you want a 10 in your relationship, you have to be a 10. And most of the time, with most people, you can just become a better version of yourself and you'll elevate like the rising tides lift all ship. But with a narcissist, I think sometimes you have to cut your losses. And I've had to do that with some relationships. And
Correct.
it's sad but true. And if there's someone in your life who's not serving you, they're not helping you put the happy in your everyday hustle, they're not bringing you joy. Life is too short to struggle
Right.
and sacrifice your everyday reality with those type of
Correct.
people.
Correct. Exactly. And you can't take it personally, and you have to understand
Yeah.
that when that happens, you can't communicate. You literally cannot communicate or negotiate with people like that in the
Yeah.
same way that you can rational, reasonable people.
Right.
Because when they are triggered, when that happens, you know it because they literally go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
You are they've been triggered, and you're either for them or against them.
Yep. Yep.
You're either my friend or my enemy.
Yeah.
That's how they are.
Yeah.
And
So
and
true.
and, and so that's how you know that you're dealing with somebody like that, because they're not a rational person says, hey, how can we get to common ground here?
Yeah.
How can we work something out? That's how you know you're somebody who says, hey, let me take responsibility for my part in this.
Yeah.
Like that's how you know you're dealing with rational. This is not a person who ever takes responsibility. It's always trying to make you think you're crazy.
Yeah. It's so true. I do want to just acknowledge to everyone out there, like, this is a difficult topic. And, Rebecca and I are here to empathize with you in the situation that you potentially are dealing with if you are having to negotiate with the narcissist. And if you do need to, like, Rebecca's work is profound and very strategic, and I recommend diving into it. I am curious, if you don't mind, with our remaining time, I'd love to um, ask you about building the business around solving this problem, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show and a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, and many of them would love a high margin, low overhead business like an online business with courses and media and content, as you've built, as I've built in many regards. Um,
Yeah.
let's dive in. Where
Yeah.
where do
Well,
you think?
that's why,
Yeah.
in my high conflict certification, I actually have a whole module on how I built my 7-figure YouTube funnel.
Oh,
I
okay.
did.
Well,
I
let's.
put that all in there because people want to know, like, okay,
Yeah.
not only, do I give all the content around how to actually negotiate and
y-
also how to help people through blocks and fears and all of that and yourself, but also how to actually build a business.
Yeah.
Because, how do I build a landing page? How do I build a lead magnet? How do I do the email nurture sequence? How
Yeah.
do I do YouTube videos? And how do I do the scripts that are going to actually convert people and
Yeah.
all of that? I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, of
There
course,
is.
and
There
the
is.
SEO part of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I chose YouTube, by the way, because YouTube is the second largest search engine owned by the first largest search engine.
Yeah.
And it's 24/7 traffic. And a lot of people think of YouTube as the same as they do Instagram, as the same as they do Facebook and all of that. But it's really not the same, because once you post on Instagram or you post on Facebook, that post is gone
Yeah.
after a day or
It's
two,
so
whatever.
true.
People aren't going to be digging into your stuff. But with YouTube, somebody can go, oh, you know, how do you negotiate with a narcissist, or whatever it is? And one of my videos could come up from 2 years ago
Yep.
because it happened to be the right thing for the algorithm. And, you know, there's my lead magnet, whatever, and they're opting in. And
Yeah.
it's right there. And, you know, it goes to my evergreen webinar and goes to my course, and
Yeah.
they're buying.
There you go. I mean, it really is a amazing lead generator. Our YouTube, we're really starting to pour into it now. We have hundreds of videos. We have not like you, but we're over 5 million views on YouTube. We're getting,
That's
starting to get some
yeah.
momentum. We got almost just under 100,000, subscribers, and we're starting to see, okay, this is what is working. This is what people like. As you did, you iterate and evolve, and I think that's important. With copy, you have to test, you have to do A/B testing with your funnel, with your webinar. Just for people out there who are just starting out, like, and they want to avoid a pitfall, what do you think is like the number one mistake that you've made with your business?
Number one mistake that I've made with my business, chasing squirrels.
Yeah. Same.
You
Yeah.
know, like the shiny thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that that's, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you always have all these ideas, and they're all great ideas,
Yeah.
right? And so, but I think really, if you have a good idea, stick with that.
Mm.
And uh, there's so many good ideas out there, but I, you can't do them all.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I think that that's the hardest thing for me, because they're kind of like all different businesses. You know, I mean, I've like wanted to launch all these different types of programs, like, oh, you know, let's do this for kids, or let's do this thing for women, or let's do this whole like fitness thing or whatever. I mean, they're all like different programs,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and you can't be all things to all people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing for me, is to stick in the zone and not uh, try to go 15 different directions.
Yeah. That's well said. My buddy John Lee Dumas says, focus, follow one course until success. And
Yeah.
you just got to focus. So that's a great takeaway. Rebecca, I do want to respect your time and ask you our happy hustle hack questions. This is a tip, a tool, a tactic, and then we'll get into the rapid fire round and then wrap this interview up. So this is just something quick, maybe a bit unique, something that you do that we could deem a happy hustle hack in a couple different disciplines. First being health. I know health is a priority for you. In order to be a high performing entrepreneur, you have to have your health. What is something that we could deem a happy hustle hack when it comes to your health?
Oh gosh. I mean, I always drink a green drink every morning. I
Same.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for me. I mean, I always move my body in some way every day. It's just whatever it is, whether I go to the beach or I do sit ups or something. I mean, I just have to do something every
Yeah.
day.
Same.
Um, I mean, I don't know. Those are for me.
Yeah, that's great. Well, let's talk about money. Money, of course, it's a tool, it's a frequency, it makes you more who you are, right? But I'm wondering if you have a happy hustle hack, something that you do to save or invest or spend wisely that we could share for a happy hustle hack for money.
Wow. I mean, I think the thing about money that I really want to share with people is that the root word of the word scarcity is scared. And um, I think the hardest thing for people to understand is that scared money does not make money. And, you know, if you feel fear, then you're not going to make money.
Mm,
And I think that that was the hardest thing for me to
mm,
understand. I did not make money until I really started to just feel abundance and
Mm,
feel abundance in, like, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are.
mm,
And you just have to feel that abundance, and then, of course, keep track of every dollar that you have and know where it's going, and invest and be smart about your money and all of the things about money.
yeah.
But it's about really feeling abundant.
Yeah. Ah, I love that. That's such a profound takeaway. Um, Last question on Happy Hustle Hacks: spirituality.
Mhm.
I think
One of my
believe.
favorite topics.
Yeah, me too. I think you have to have some form of faith. I don't care about religion, one or another. I respect everyone's choices, but I'm just curious. Do you have a Happy Hustle hack? A way do you connect with a higher power that we could, share with
Well,
the Happy Hustlers?
for me, I'm Christian.
Mm.
I very much believe in Jesus and Christianity, but I'm also very spiritual. I mean, I very much believe in higher power and spirituality and abundance and the universe, but I believe in it through the power of Jesus, and so I can reconcile
Mm.
both. So but I pray every day, and I do mind movies, and I do um I I just
Can you unpack
I
mind movies real quick?
well, to me it's just a way to do a vision board, but you can see it, you can watch it every day.
Ah,
And so you can easily make them on Canva. And so it's like literally like a 3-minute thing that you can watch, and you can put music to it. Joe Dispenza talks about them,
yeah,
and it's just a way to really just focus your mind and keep it, sort of like The Secret or whatever it is that people want to think about. I mean, however you want to visualize it, but it's just a way to keep it in the forefront of your mind
yeah,
of what it is that your future self is now,
love it.
right?
Yeah,
And bringing your future to you
yeah.
today.
Oh, yeah. And the power of visualization is it's by far one of the most important parts of becoming quote unquote successful, and I think everyone needs to define what success means to them, but truly that you, like you said, mind movies, so cool. I haven't heard it described like that, but that was amazing. Let's run through the Happy Hustle rapid fire round real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. So this is just where I ask you random questions, Rebecca, and then you answer honestly, first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I'm
All
ready.
right, favorite food, go.
Oh, gosh, anything Chinese, Peking duck, dim sum. I was raised on Chinese food, so
Nice.
yeah.
I love Chinese food. All right, favorite movie.
Favorite movie? Oh my gosh. You know what? I just watched P.T. Barnum, The Greatest Showman on Earth, and it was really
Oh
good. Did
yeah,
you ever see
yeah,
that?
that is good.
So good. I literally just watched it like a couple days ago, so that's in the forefront of my mind right now. So I'm just going to say that right
Yeah.
now.
Favorite
Just
book.
favorite book. I'm going to say The Seed of the Soul by Gary Zukav. I love that book. It's so
Mm.
good.
Best
Yeah.
business advice.
Best business advice. Um, Gosh, I don't know. Gosh, I've gotten so much. Okay. I'm going to say that when Jack Long, my business partner, he came into my office and he told me to raise my rates because my rates were too low. And uh, because people will, you and you alone define your value.
Mm. Well
You and you
said.
alone define your value.
What's your spirit animal?
Definitely tiger.
Ooh, I like it. Three things you're most grateful for.
Uh, my faith, my family, um, love in my life.
Ah, amazing. And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, what's that billboard read?
Oh gosh. Um, it's just probably something around gratitude or faith and
Mm.
love. Um, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make.
Ooh,
I'm going to say
crush
that.
that rapid fire round, Rebecca. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you. Thank you so much for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom with the Happy Hustlers, and really helping us become better negotiators with narcissists and high conflict personalities and just anyone in general. I really appreciate your work and just look forward to future collaborations and our friendship flourishing. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. Let's do it.
Yeah. And I know you have a free gift for people as well. And go ahead and mention the best place for people to connect with you online as well, please.
Oh, yeah. So you can get my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet. It's basically a 15-page ebook. It's really, really great. I've had so many people get it. It's at winmynegotiation.com. Definitely grab that. You can follow me on YouTube at RebeccaZung.tv, Instagram at Rebecca Zung. Those are probably the best places to check me out.
I love it. Rebecca, this has been awesome. Final question. What does happy hustling mean to you?
Ah, definitely means being in your authentic power, doing what you love, and also making money doing it.
Yeah. Amen. All right. Rebecca Zung, everyone. Thank you all for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everyone.